Like, because it's something I've struggled with for a lot of years. For the most part, I'm pretty good just throwing it in the back and just it'll pick up at some point. But I mean, there's been moments in my life where something has like struck awe in me, and that's the closest I've ever been able to get. And it's usually when I'm out in the middle of fucking nowhere, just staring at the majesty that is the fucking world around here. But it's a fleeting situation, and then every time I get back to, oh, dude, it happens every time. Even just like if I go out to Chelan or something like that for a weekend, and you spend some time out there where there's not a lot of people, and you're out there just seeing like massive rolling hills for miles and miles and miles, and then as soon as I get back and I come down fucking Tiger Pass and I get back into the, you know, whatever that Fife area is or whatever, and I just go, man, we fucked up. There's no way to find anything existential when you're surrounded by steel, concrete, and glass.
Yeah.
But it's raining outside. I forgot it's supposed to fucking start deluging all week.
Yes. You can hear so much more shit in here.
Yes. And, well, I don't have my cans on, too, so my ears are fully loaded. But this entire conversation kind of has sparked a question in me. And so I told you I have two. Let me ask you this. They're going to dovetail pretty well with this one. The first one might be a slight derailment, but you'll get it. So without any further ado.
With that, let me ask you this.
I just have to watch that one because I can't hear for some reason.
Well, it should play over the speakers,
It should. I might not have set the speakers up again after I plugged them in, but hey, we'll figure it out during the next break.
Just won't play any audio clips
until this time. So, my first question to you, good sir, and like I said, take it with a grain of salt because this is kind of a joke, but how many times a day do you think about the Roman Empire? And do you know why I'm asking this question?
I have seen this discussion begin to happen online. Yes, so I've seen the references to it.
But also, I want to know your answer.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a daily thing, but it's certainly consistent. You know,
okay.
I would think weekly is probably like fair. You know,
why? What are you thinking about when you start thinking about the Roman Empire? You thinking about the collapse? You thinking the rise of? You thinking about how it used to be a republic? I mean, what avenue of thought, or you just in general be like, and then Romans kind of had something going on?
Collapse and warfare. I think about Roman warfare like a lot. It's just a cool deal. It's just a cool concept, you know.
Word.
I like the swords and shield thing is pretty fucking badass.
Oh, and dude, that's like, rough business when you think about it. Back in the day when warfare was just, I'm gonna go murder you with a knife, a long knife, but I'm just gonna. That's That's one of those. If you had a time machine and go back and like go experience something, I'd want to go watch something like that just to see the fucking true horror of it.
Yeah, and ever since I read the Rubicon book, you know, I don't think I did much before then, but after that, you know,
once you get introduced to the concept of, it's hard to kick it out of your brain.
The more spread out we are.
Yes.
You know, every time I hear about us in another country, I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that.
You shouldn't be doing that.
You shouldn't be doing that. I know you know this, but you shouldn't be doing that.
Oh, man. Like, you know, foreign bases all throughout the world to be able to control as much territory as possible, the whole thing. There's so many great avenues. But that, as an aside, that's kind of like you've definitely dipped your toes into the cultural waters of the internet, if you know about this. So the real question is, I've seen a lot of, particular on, obviously, the right wing of things, if you will, in political Twitter or culture war Twitter. This, and we've talked about like TradCon wives and stuff like this. There's a big push into people like becoming very opaque about their religion, particularly like young Christian women, or even, you know, just say young-ish people that are looking to get in like the dating market, or some of them are a little older. I've talked about her before, you know, Melanie Mack, formerly of GameStop TV.
Yeah, okay.
She started doing some, you know, video game review type stuff, and then she got heavy into the culture wars, and now she's gotten to the point where, I mean, she's got the cross on her Twitter bio. More than half of the tweets she puts out now have to do with Jesus.
Do you think that's real or fake?
That's my question to you, really.
Okay.
Is there so much of this now? And I don't know if it's an honest resurgence. I see a lot of memes that are like, you know, which way Western man? And it's like, a a woman that loves Jesus or a woman that loves partying or something like that. It's it'll show two pictures of two different chicks or something like that. And I'm going, this feels like a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
This feels like an overextended pendulum swing that's I feel like too much. But given our last conversation, maybe it's not. Maybe just the concept of it blowing up like that is actually, I would imagine the pendulum will settle back down again, but if these people have embraced some form of faith and then has made that a cornerstone in their future dating prospects and all this stuff, maybe you're at a 10 out of 10 on, maybe you're at like a 2 or 3 out of 10, but either way it's present in your world and you're making it very opaque that this is what you're looking for. Is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing for society? Or even trying to get more people into the ranks of, say, more conservative thinking?
So I think there's I can imagine a couple different layers to it. And one of them being, okay, well, I'm just trying to think about how exactly I want to form this. So I think that part of it is disingenuous, but part of it is I think very real. If you are submerged in the conservative or conservative adjacent culture for long enough, like us, for example, I think if you're really about it, if you're really about freedom, if you're really about liberty, you find your way there, like I just did. Mm-hmm. You find your way there. Eventually, you think yourself to a point. You're like, okay, I'm missing something. There's something that is a disconnect here for me that is causing me to not be able to meet this end goal. If it's as simple like, and I don't think, obviously, my end goal is not to fucking finish this painting. I think that this is a representation of an internal issue that I'm having, and I believe that it's also representative of a larger issue the country is having. So,
entire society, really. I mean, all of Western society, really.
It could very well, I'm absolutely thinking out loud, it could very well be the first act of whatever that source is for me, showing me, you're fucking up. Like, this is the message that I'm giving you to tell you need to sort yourself straight. It could be me being a fucking shit-ass artist, and this is the way that I'm interpreting the issue that I'm having with this painting. Either way, you get yourself to this point, I think, if you're really about it. You know, a lot of people will. Some people are going to logic their way to just secularist egoism, anarchism that is like, my right is derived from me. I'm the only person who can do that. This is not real, so I can't, take it from a God that I can't prove is real. So the only person who defines what my right is me.
Then you run into problems with, well then, okay, if there's no rights based off of, for lack of a better term, Judeo-Christian values, like are talked about in all of the founding documents and all the the little wings of the founding documents, you still lose sight of the overall meaning of it.
Yes,
that usually just tends toward nihilism. There's
a little bit of
dude, going heavy first part, dude.
A little bit of kind of bullshit you got to accept if that's where you're coming from. If egoism is like really where you're at, there's a little bit of a bullshit that you kind of have to accept of like just logical fallacy that exists in that line of logic. That's fine, and if you're okay with that inconsistency at the core of the argument, then I think that's fine, and that's how people can get there. I also think that if you're into just more traditional values in relationships, like I was, an easy avenue for that is girls that are religious, because they're going to have been raised with those ideals already. They're not discovering them in their mid-20s like you just did. I don't mean you, but I mean whoever the person is that's seeking a partner. So they already have that. You don't have to worry. You don't have to convince them into that. You don't have to find a girl who's a leftist and try and date her for 10 years until she wants to have kids and she figures it out for herself, because that's generally the way that it goes.
Yeah, and what a roll of the dice that's going to be.
Precisely. They could just be shitty. It could not work. There's any number of things, But that's, Jordan and I were both very, very left when we got together. It's very much not that way now. Part of that is really natural. Part of that is me fucking, bringing her to the dark side of liberty. But so I think
here's a question for you.
Yeah,
because I've heard this argument talked about by a lot of people. I mean, everybody from, say, like even a Timcast people to Ben Shapiro, regardless of whether or not you're a believer or a member of a particular religion, like finding your way to church is a good way to at least put yourself in the environment to find those things.
Yes.
Is that something you would be interested in doing? Because different perspective, obviously, because I'm coming at it obviously from a completely different turnabout. You already have an established family. Is that something that you or Jordan would entertain?
Going to church, you mean? Just
Some kind of.
Yeah, certainly. I don't think I would just like go to random churches.
I feel like there'd be a lot of research involved beforehand. To at least try to start off on the right road.
Right, because I think that I can kind of open a door for myself by myself. With at-home research, I think I can find myself to a point where I'm like, okay, this one is speaking to me, and then find a religious center to attend that God aligns with. That's probably more where I'm at with it.
Interesting, because a lot of this stuff brings me back to like our old Jake Lyons conversation, because there is something to be said about having that cornerstone of where to appeal. Yeah. And there's a lot of the people he suggested and stuff like that. These are like online people that make videos, and there's no shortage of. There's 1,000 different avenues of that to pursue, but there's also a place that you could start pursuing down those types of roads without going to like your local Unitarian church that may or may not be flying a pride flag out front, which I always think is interesting.
Almost always are. Funnily enough, I think that conversation with Jake Lyons, we could have talked ourselves almost to this point had we not got so hung up on that, like, okay, but how, like, you're asserting a point that you can't prove. Dude, we got like very stuck in that point.
That was nothing but that was our version of the original Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris 3-hour long discussion that got nowhere.
It was super bad. It was super duper bad. Yeah.
We just got so stuck and couldn't get around it.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting thought, because again, to take it all the way back, like I've been struggling with this for a very long time, and particular with things that have gone down in my life relatively recently. That stupid fucking saying of, it's very, very cookie cutter and kind of colloquial, but like there's that God-shaped hole in your heart that you can use to derive meaning from things.
Yeah.
It ain't wrong. Whatever that is, like that faith of in a higher power of some kind, whatever that is. If you don't got it, you don't got it.
Right.
And without it, if you look too long, you'll feel it. And it's a struggle. It's a struggle. So I'm right there with you. I really like that. You talked up the story about that a lot yesterday when we were doing initial setup.
Yeah.
Paid off big time.
Excellent.
Yeah. You set a high bar, good sir.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.